Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your favorite Discovery Paranormal ever. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. When I did a show about the fallen angels, right, and I missed last week because my work, my work life is so intense. Oh my god. So, but away from those investigations and away from the stuff that I do normally, here we are talking about fallen angels again, except it kind of spurred more questions as I was reading the stuff and getting into, researching the materials and getting into the stuff for that last show. So there seems to be a lot of collective ignorance when it comes to fallen angels and what they truly are, were, and represent. Then people don't really associate like Zeus and Poseidon, people like that, if you want to call them people, as fallen angels. But yet they are. And I'll tell you why. The Bible, any religious document, let's just say that, any religious document, of course, in the Bible, the Old Testament is also the Jewish Bible. So there's a lot of people that can agree with stuff there, but then it splits apart with the New Testament, right? And then you have other writings from other groups and other people. All of these are man-made religions. Never forget that. Don't have it be lost on you that it's man-made. And it comes down to basic primitive interpretation of events. Once you get past that and understand that the people at the time could only interpret what they knew from the knowledge that they had, which wasn't much. I mean, it depends on who you are. But, like the Roman Empire was pretty sophisticated for what it was. You go back before that, you're not going to find any of that. Here, there, and yeah, maybe, but not to that degree anyway. Then you have people, even during the Roman Empire time and thereafter, of course, you have people who weren't educated. They didn't really know anything, maybe have a basic understanding of language and that type of thing, and survival. They know they need to eat and have their lives. They procreated. They had kids. It seems like the whole thing was a mission to populate the earth, you know, best you can. And there wasn't a lot of spiritual deepness, evolvement going on. It was more about uh, gathering masses. But what do you do when you have those masses? I mean, we're to that point now. We have plenty of masses, and a lot of people still aren't ignorant, are ignorant, I should say, like me. And I think that there's people that will tell you we are on the verge of something unbelievable, unbelievable to wrap your little human puny brain minds around. Unbelievable in the fact that it's going to be a changing event. The only way that people can truly change and get away from what they are now, which is rooted in a lot of bad stuff, it's going to be an event that changes people, the event that brings people together, right? Anyway, so these gods, all of these civilizations around the world, and all of their religions kind of all tell the same story. They just put different names, different types, or maybe times or dates. You go back when times and dates become very sketchy. They don't even know when Moses was around. They don't even know when Noah was around. They can only guess at these times. They can try to link them up, Moses with the pharaohs and things like that. Sure. But all of these people who stand out, who are leaders among men. I mean, people looked up to these characters, and they still do today, which shows you how powerful that is. Do you think that happened by accident? You know, I was like, I was watching the news today, kind of, sort of English news, English news is very nice. You know that, like, they're not nice to that Boris Johnson. They're nice to about everything else, and I like that. Nice is nice. It's kind of fake nice, you know. But so I'm watching like that, and I'm kind of looking at different stories about, what I'm going to do on my other show, Red Pill News, which I do every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm looking at all these different things, and there's only a handful of famous people out there, really, even per generation. There seems to be a finite number of the people who truly get pedestalized, the ones who would get on that point. Then they have to keep them going. It's often said that automobile ads on TV aren't there to make you go buy a car. They're actually there to make the people who bought the car happy about their purchase. Does that sound crazy? It's not. That's actually what it truly is all about. So you have to be careful of the presenters, because there are people who want to get control of your brain and your spending and how you live your life. So you dedicate yourselves to them, right? And what they do. Look at these entities out there that kind of just draw from people, and makeup and females, some males, but it's a whole industry built on people altering themselves, changing themselves. I don't think a lot of people look better when they put makeup on, my own personal opinion. But they've been brought up to understand that, you know, and it was driven into their brain at one point, like cigarettes. The cigarette companies way back when you had your World War II. And then you had this guy who was in charge of their propaganda for World War II against the Germans. He made himself a very big name for himself in that aspect of always getting the enemy guessing or moving, or trying to destroy them psychologically and things like that. This guy went on into advertising after the war, and just when the cigarette companies came to him and said, "Hey, we want to start selling cigarettes to women, but it's sort of a man thing to do, and how can we do this?" They invented a cigarette for women, and this guy went out and hired a bunch of famous actors and got them puffing cigarettes and put them in all kinds of ads, even at Christmas and whatever. And women started smoking cigarettes. It's that simple. It's that simple, right? It's about monkey see, monkey do, which is very, very powerful. That keeping up with the Joneses, you buy something nice at your house, and your neighbor sees it, and they feel like they got to have it for themselves, and then you'll see a whole chain reaction. That's what happens, right? And that's the world we're in. So when I look at the world, I understand it for some real reason. I get it. I get why the way things work. I get how the way things work. Maybe I don't know a lot of in particulars, but I kind of understand the flow. And when I read about people like Poseidon or Zeus, I understand something different about the whole concept, right? So let me get to that. So otherwise, I'm just gonna keep yammering on. I know what the hell I was talking about to begin with. so, so here we are. Zeus rules the gods of this world, and the fallen angels each govern civilizations on every continent. Poseidon rules over Atlantis, and it is the geographic capital of godly rule on earth. So let's think about that. The geographic capital of godly rule on earth. And Poseidon is the one sitting in that chair, ruling it, right? On earth. Okay. Atlantis, which for which the Atlantic Ocean is named, was geographically located between Europe and the Americas. Known by many other names across cultures and continents, we have an unquestionably similar archetype in Eden, right? So God said they would destroy the entire earth with a lowercase e, as in dirt the submersion of a continent constitutes a total destruction of the soil. The most fascinating evidence for the existence of Atlantis is an account by the Greek philosopher Plato. In his work Timaeus, Plato recounts a dialogue between the Greek philosophers Socrates, Timaeus, and the politicians Critias and Hermocrates. In this account, Socrates is waxing poetically about Athens being a perfect society. Critias, hope I'm saying it right, then reveals them that it is the apex Athens faced. Its antithesis of a society, a naval power bent on conquering the world from its homeland, Atlantis. Solon, while in Egypt in the 6th century BC, was said to have spoken with Egyptian priests who revealed to him the history of the war between Atlantis and Athens. Keeping in mind also, now let's think about Egypt thousands of years ago was green and plush like the Amazon jungle is, And what you see now, it was the result of some cataclysm that had happened that shifted everything. Didn't just shift it there, it shifted everything globally, shifted everything out west, in the United States. And the Native Americans out there, the Navajo, the Hopi, they're all individual groups and they all share the same stories. And they're very proud of these stories that they pass down from their elders, and they want to make sure those stories don't get distorted in any way because that's what they got. It ain't the news. What's going on today? This is the real deal. And when you listen to these stories about how they refer to the ant people, they all had a different name for them. But the ones who came to them actually didn't come to them. They went to the ant people. They had a song in their head and there was a direction to follow. They all went to that direction and then they got saved from some cataclysm. And then they were taught how to survive on the land thereafter. Right? So the fallen angels descended to earth. Every society tells a story about some kind of beings in fire chariots or whatever you want to call it, coming down, ships, whatever they're in, coming down from the heavens, the sky. They were not of this earth, not as far as you'd know, right? And it all fits the same connection. You go back to that CIA report about Project Stargate and the interesting work that they've done. You can definitely connect a lot of dots. So the fallen angels descended to Earth, to the continents of Atlantis, where they set up an angelic government of sorts, whose headquarters they named Mount Hermon. Right, and I'm going to tell you something I feel. I don't believe Atlantis was made out of land and soil. I believe Atlantis was some kind of ship, some kind of thing, extraterrestrial ship, and then large enough to take up a lot of area. But that was where they ran their operations from. You know, you don't think they just came down with some wings on their backs and could perform all these things and build a society, train humans that were just a little smarter than some monkeys at that time, Where do you think the rhesus negative came from 35, 40,000 years ago? They don't really have a pinpoint on exactly the date, but all these scientists agree it's not from Earth, that it didn't happen naturally. It wasn't a mutation or anything like that. So there you go. Like I said, all these things just make you have more questions, So the Garden of Eden was located on the western portion of Atlantis, as Cain was sent eastward, most likely by sailboat, across the ocean to the continent of Nod. Mount Hermon was the highest point of Atlantis and a city. That was a city called Mount Olympus was built there for the fallen angels to conduct their business of playing God, basically, right? If you read anything about it. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. Probably pretty hairy though, man. I think about people back then. You know what I mean? I like it now. There's razor blades and soap. There's things like you can, A little bit of spritz. You want to smell like a mountain breeze, you can do that too. I think that's pretty good, man. But we talked about this a couple weeks ago with fallen angels. These guys, they got together with females, and then they had their giants, right? So this is how it all started. So let's see, what they say? What they say? And the angels, the children of the heavens, saw and lusted after them, and they said to one another, "Come, let us choose wives from the children of men, and beget us children." They're bored, right? They want to have the soccer barbecues. They want to have the family events, man. They're just fallen angels building a society, and they see these women, and but there must have been women too, fallen angels. I mean, some of those Greek goddesses were female. What about that? Uh, and Simjaza, remember I said that's my new radio name? Simjaza. Simjaza here. Who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. That's how guys are. Yeah. You're not thinking with your brain. You're thinking with something else. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath and bind ourselves by mutual and imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Let's do this thing, man. They swear all together and bound themselves by mutual whatever upon it. Boom. That was in the book of Enoch 6, 1-5. The angels were assigned to watch. They admired the women. They agreed to chase after them like hound dogs and not tell anyone, even though it got out, didn't it? Nothing stays, that's the thing about secrets, man. They don't stay secret. So I don't know why the hell you call them that. They admired the women from outer space and must have discussed it. That doesn't even make any sense. Like they're just floating around. Obviously, they're floating around in something. And these people are flesh and bone. These people who mated with the women and had children with those women, even though they were large. So there's something to understand about the biology going on there, if you believe the story, right? Semjaza indicates his interest because his response as their leader wasn't to turn them in for crimes against the kingdom. Instead, he said to them he wasn't exactly sure because only he would be punished for it, and all because that he has the authority over them. See, he's taking the responsibility. He's like, you guys mess around, I'm the one who gets it. They understood where he was coming from, and they said that they were willing to put mutually binding curses on any angels that abandon the oath to descend to earth and take wives. So they swore and descended, and God never knew it. God never knew it. How does that happen? Look, God knew everything, like Santa Claus. God never knew it. Your angels are out of control. They're horny for these women, and they're down there doing their thing. And they said that they were cursing the other angels who tried to turn them in. So if God invented everything, was is put out there as the creator of all, who created God? Number one. Number two, none of this stuff would even make any sense because all of it's happening within the realm of that kind of creation. You would have to know. It would be very weird not to know, right? Plus, God's very busy doing stuff, right? I don't know. All right. So they were all in 200. They said 200 of these fallen angels, right, who descended in the days of Jared onto the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon, or whatever. All right, here we go. Book of Enoch, mutual imprecations means evil curses, and Herman is derived from one of two words. Let me get past this stupid words. You don't care about that. All right, let me see. Bum, 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 bum. And we talked about all the other. So some of the names of their leaders. You know, of course. Let's see. Arak Iba, Ramil, Kokabil, Tamil, Ramil, all that, right? There's a lot of them. And let's see. These 18 angels each controlled 10 lesser angels. These angels descended on Mount Hermon with Semjaza, recited the oath of uh, defection to the others. The angels below were also accused of teaching secrets to humans. So not only did they fornicate, but there's a lot of bedroom talk, right? With the humans, and this is how you do this is how you do that. And behold, the names of the angels of these are the names of the first Sanjaza. There we go. Let's get to the internet. Okay. All right. The Genesis Revelation, a scientifically correct translation of the Hebrew book of Genesis, a consolidated mythological history, right? And the most comprehensive argument for creation science ever written. The mystery of the anointed Messiah and the divine creation are the most controversial and misunderstood subjects known to humankind. And that's the thing, too. If it was something you were supposed to know, don't you think they'd spell it out for you? Like, really? You keep guessing at stuff or have people just tell you a bunch of bunk. I've talked to a lot of these preachers, man. They don't even know anything about their own life, what's going on. And they'll talk to you about spirituality. And a lot of people I know are spiritual who don't describe themselves as not religious, but they're spiritual. So there's a division and people know about it, right? But all this happened because of this. This is more turning out to be the story of some advanced culture that came here that wanted to live on, and in that they did, right? So for thousands of years, scientists, theologians, and laypersons alike have studied the Holy Bible in search of logical and practical solutions. That's their first folly, looking at the Bible for logical solutions, right? How the hell do you get that? You got to read between the lines, and it was written by people who were pretty far out there, and like the book of John. There was over 30 Johns apparently. One left off where another picked up. How does that happen? It doesn't happen. Or if it happens, you're not talking about real information, right? But you can read between the lines and you can see the outset of this story, right? All right. Creationism is the original theory of existence of the advent of scientific thought that has rendered the current case of creation basically just that two schools of thought, right? The people that believe it was God zapped everybody down here, and some of them don't even believe that anything existed before Jesus Christ, which is kind of weird because there's whole societies and evidence and things written and all that. But you can't argue with people like that, you know. You really can't. And they're kind of brainwashed in a real weird way. These ideas aren't their own. They were adopted by something else, by somebody who was peddling it to them. So the theory that the Earth and all life on it was created in 6 actual days is incomprehensible to this new and more learned generation of faithful skeptics and agnostics. They seek a spiritual truth that is more consistent with what has been discovered about the universe. The current translation is scientifically archaic and skewed. That's why people they don't want it, because they know that it's the greatest bullcrap story ever told. You know, are there truths in there? Yeah, most definitely. But what so? You know, and I think that I think there's truth in a lot of things, and there's also they take that truth, they cherry pick what they want, and then they sell you the story, right? So, so Poseidon is known as kind of a violent, ill-tempered god of the sea, although not just the sea, apparently, right? One of the 12 Olympians. He was also feared as a provoker of earthquakes and worshipped as the creator of horses. See that, man? And hot blooded deity. Poseidon had many disputes with both God and man, most famously with Athena and Odysseus. So, very much like people, right? Uh, emotional, and if especially if you're emotional and powerful, and those emotions can run high, you can cause a lot of destruction. But it also came down to this: the sailors at sea would have a calm day, catch a lot of fish, come back in. Poseidon favored us. He did great things. We love Poseidon. Oh, you go to sea the next day, there's bad storms. Ship sinks, people die. Oh, Poseidon is angry and punished us. We must have done something. That's all that we must have done something to be punished. I was in a relationship like that. I was thinking all the time, what did I do to deserve this? Oh my God. And then I would think back further and be like, oh, that's right. that's what. That's what. So Poseidon's portrayal and symbolism. Poseidon is nowadays known exclusively as a sea god, but in ancient times, he was definitely the god of the earth and fertility, or even the supreme god in the sky. In fact, in portrayals, he looks very much like Zeus, a distinguished bearded man with a dense curly hair, piercing eyes. Homer says that his shriek was so loud as 10,000 men combined. I knew someone that had a louder shriek than that, and they would know God either. Oftentimes, he is depicted riding a four-horse chariot and wielding a trident over the waves. The trident is his most recognizable emblem, though his son, Triton, carries one as well. And it is said that Poseidon struck a rock with his trident to create the very first horse, so which was named Scythius. That's going to be the next name of my next dog, Scythius. During, let's see, the gods used to use the trident to break off pieces of the island. Man, they would call that global warming, wouldn't they? They would be like, "You're causing global warming, Poseidon." I will destroy you. I'll just sink you into the waters of the earth. Oh, as long as it's clean water. No plastic down there. All right. So since Poseidon had multiple powers, the ancient Greeks invented various things to describe his manifestations. Pray to him. Yeah, pray to him. All about money, right? To some, he was savior of sailors. To others, he caused the earthquakes. To others, he averted the earthquake. Basically. Oh, and then to the fourth, he was leader of the nymphs. See, that's the door I would choose. I'll choose door number 4. I'll go hang out there. I don't want the earthquake. I don't want the horses aren't bad. I like horses. I was born the year of the fire horse. And sailors, Poseidon's family. Poseidon was the second son of Cronus and Rhea after Hades, and their pituitary child before Zeus was Hestia. Demeter and Hera were his sisters. So, like the Brady Bunch going on there of gods, right? Like all the siblings aside from Zeus, Poseidon was swallowed by Cronus at birth, and thanks to Zeus, after disgorged unharmed. So Cronus ate all of them like little gingerbread men, and then puked them up on the earth. So there are a lot of people that are the ancient alien people that say Cronus was a ship, and they came out of the ship. And this was those people, this was their version of what they had witnessed. And the only thing that they could liken it to was regurgitating something, right? Because they had no idea what the hell they were even watching or what was going on, you know? Think about if we went back in time now with our drones and our airplanes or whatever, any technology we have, right? How mystified people would be, you know, and you go back far enough, they're going to look at you like a god. You whip out a big lighter in a time when fire wasn't really around, and they're going to look at you like a god. So it comes down to interpretation, and it's always why I carry a big lighter. It's not lost on me that you can get sucked in some time hole. You might need it. You don't want to get sucked into a time hole without your big lighter. All right. So he was disgorging. They puked up. However, some that say that Rhea managed to hide Poseidon from his father's rage as well. All right. Here we go. And Poseidon challenges Zeus. Poseidon had a very violent character, impulsive and hot-blooded. He couldn't put up with Zeus's arrogant behavior as a ruler, so he teamed up with Hera and Athena to teach him a lesson. However, with the help of Thetis and Barrius, Zeus overpowered his challengers. So always a struggle, always a war, always something going on. These aren't the dedicated, elevated beings that you think you would encounter from somewhere. These people sound like people. Screw you over, screw your wife, take your stuff, kick you out in the street. So as punishment, Zeus sent Poseidon and Apollo to serve the Trojan king Laomedon, for whom they built the vast, beautiful walls surrounding Troy. However, when the time came, Laomedon refused to pay them. As a result, Poseidon, even against the advice of Zeus, fought on the Greek side during the Trojan War, sending a sea monster named Cetus to torment the Trojans. I don't know. Those packs of Trojans are pretty tight. You know what I mean? So it's a screw over. One screw over to the other one, and I'm going to take this side. Nothing different going on today with people. Is there anything different? All right. So even so, the narcissist that he was, Poseidon, I did not call you a narcissist. If you're listening, Poseidon was. You got to put that out there sometimes. Poseidon destroyed the fortifications built by the Greeks, firmly believing that his walls are the only buildings of the type worthy to remain, and mad at him for blinding his son Polyphemus. He had a long decade feud with one of the greatest Greek heroes. All right, see, these guys just got this fighting amongst themselves, fighting. The god of the sea was also greedy, especially when it came to earthly kingdoms. Once he even wanted to obtain Athens from Athena, claiming that the city would have much more benefit from him than to her. To prove this, he struck his trident into a rock, creating a seawater stream that welled up into the temple. And the north side of the Acropolis, Athena in turn planted an olive tree. Let's see. The first king of Athens, Cecrops, which is the first king of Athens, decided that Athena's gift was so more useful than since it gave fruit, wood, oil. Athena kept Athens, and the rest is history. The rest is history. And just like Zeus, Poseidon had a weak spot for women, and much like him, he was not exactly loved back by them. However, what he couldn't acquire with romance and gentleness, he did with violence and craftiness, much like a lot of people today. And Poseidon and Harvey Weinstein are sounding a lot alike, except for the looks. I'm sorry, Poseidon, I didn't mean that either. All right, so this is the deal. These people have problems. They have problems you don't even think about having. And now a lot of what they did is not even politically correct, so they probably wouldn't even be allowed to do it in their little group of freaks, right? So these were the unruly people that came down. I'll call them people to build society, to teach mankind, which wasn't much better than what these guys were doing. And they had no problem with women and packs of women and all this because they were bored too. They weren't just building stuff. You got to have some downtime. You know what I mean? Of course, there's women running around, and women are ignoring them. These buffed out, muscled up dudes. Women are looking at them like, hey, baby. Angel, like, yeah, come on, you're Poseidon. You get more girls than George Clooney. Poseidon, hey, baby. Hey, baby. Poseidon. Yeah, like my stuff. Check me out. Got the water. That's right. I don't know. I wasn't there. The only thing I can tell you is that all these stories all kind of coincide. You know? And to listen to religious people talk about it is even funnier, you know, because they put their slant on it of what they thought Poseidon was. Even though they're admitting that it exists, I do know Christians who say that nothing existed before Jesus, like nothing. And when you talk to them and you're like, hey, you mean to tell me that there was nothing before Jesus? Like there was no nothing, no time, no nothing. Oh, in a week God made the earth and plunked Jesus down. Yeah, didn't work like that. In fact, there was whole civilizations saying there was a prophet coming or a Messiah, right? That's what they believed. The Jewish Bible believed it. The Jewish believed it. They just didn't believe it was Jesus. So, and all of them, extremely limited in understanding how things truly work. And now we have kind of a bite on technology as a people. We can apply the things we have today and look at technology from once when, and you can definitely see how these things are all coming together. I think when people find out the truth, they're going to be shocked. I think that future generations of humans are going to look back and think that people are idiots, basically, because I'm already doing that. And then we're still all in the same time zone, baby. All right, this is the deal. So Poseidon, moody as he was, with all the fights and all the facts, it really was about these people building a society, building a world, going out there and teaching mankind. The stories all revolve around teaching, like even making those walls around these kingdoms, and how when you look at it in ancient aliens and they go to these places and they look at these walls, you can't even put a needle in between the stones, and these stones are huge, they're giant, they weigh tons and tons and tons. How did the people at that time that were using chicken bones as tools craft such a thing? Unless there was a society that you didn't know about. But it's kind of hard to hide something like that, isn't it? You know? So I love how they describe Poseidon as so moody. I'd be able to hang out with that dude. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of us and each other. He had possessed a palace made of gems and coral located on the ocean floor. He was at Mount Olympus more often than his palace. And that makes sense on the ocean floor, gems and coral. It just sounds like if you're a novice and you're looking to describe something that you have never seen before, you're going to just liken it to the things that you already know, right? If you're looking at like an electronic panel and it's flashing and doing all kinds of stuff, you definitely could easily say it looks like gems and coral and kind of dumb it down and then run away from it as fast as possible because they don't know what the hell it is. Poseidon, I think that I like the whole horse thing too. And they don't say that they're seahorses. You know, if you apply your knowledge to anything, you're gonna find truths, right? And the paranormal is no different. Whether you're a ghost hunter or whether you're somebody who, I know people cringe when I say ghost hunter because I know you're not hunting ghosts, but a paranormal investigator, right? It's something that you have that's a thirst for knowledge that maybe other people don't even believe or they'll mock. I've been mocked for doing this stuff. It doesn't matter. Those people don't understand. And let people alone in what they do, as long as it's not some destructive thing. Let people be. Who is anyone out there to judge others and mock them in the things that they do, especially if they're looking for tangible proof of stuff that obviously exists, since there's tangible proof of it, right? But the Watchers, these are this is Zeus, this is Hades, this is of Satan. You know, all of these, if you want to get technical, all the angels that, depending whose story you read, Beelzebub, tossed out of heaven, the heavens. Come on, very, 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 very weird. And I have a lot of questions. In fact, I got more questions now than I did. So there's something to that. And then I keep searching for more answers, right? In a few weeks, I'm going to be out west and I'm going to be out exploring Chaco Canyon, those places. And I just have a feeling about that whole area. This is where the Navajo had their stories. In fact, I'm going to be in northern Arizona to go see Wally Brown, and he's a big Navajo dude. And he's got stories of UFOs coming close and whatever. And he says he can call them and they show up. So I'm looking forward to that happening. I'll be doing a live show at that rate. All right. So here it is in Genesis, right? And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were fair. And then they took them as wives, and all which they chose. Did you have to marry them? That's my question. Did you have to marry them? So, and these were demigods, right? Hybrids between the sons of gods and daughter of men. These are where this was the giants, and this was the reason for the flood, apparently, and all that. But I don't believe in that because the timing is off. The timing is off. I think Noah came way before that. You know, before Noah came here, there wasn't much going on. I believe it was a planet. I believe the planet had some kind of life to it. I believe it had volcanoes. I believe it was unstable. I believe in a lot of that. And I think it took a long time to get it together. But it was Noah who built society. If you look back, Noah's father's Methuselah, his father's Enoch. And you gonna tell me those guys are from the earth? Come on, Noah lived 950 years. How many people live 950 years? You know, think about that. So I think that the more you understand about that, the more you can understand about what is about to be exposed to people. Right now, you have aircraft carriers that have vessels flying above it. They don't know what it is, and they can't do anything about it. There goes your security out the window, right? If it was the Russians or the Chinese, we'd be sending a missile up there, but not these things. Some were cone shaped, and some were round, and some were triangles, all different types of shapes. That doesn't sound like that freaking movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you know? And I think movies like that even were invented to brace people, to prepare people to a bigger world, joining a bigger universe, and understanding that we're not the center of the universe, understanding that we are a people, a species, or something. Maybe we have a lot in common with others out there, right? Biologically. But it's going to be a long time before that really gets out there, like in your face out there, because there are so many people that are closed off. They don't want it. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to deal with it. You know, they don't believe in it. I talk to people, they don't believe, they don't even believe in COVID-19. Like, how can you not believe in it? It's just a belief when it comes to a virus that people die from, or get sick from, the belief. But yeah, you're always going to have those ignorant people out there. Always, always. Do you ever think that they can be cycled out of mankind? And I mean, if you bring education to the forefront, sure. Instead of what's out there now is disinformation. Right now, education is supplied by the victors, written from their direction, from their perspective, from their hand. The only thing that's not is math, right? Can't mess with numbers. So yeah, they all knew it. They all protected each other. They all had their decree of not to turn each other in so they can go sleep with these girls, right? But let's see. It's a horny story, and that's like the Bible in general, man. There's some stuff in there. If you want to keep it clean, you gotta don't read it. You want to work clean, stay away from it because there's a lot. The Old Testament is different. It definitely stands out about the stories that they really tried to focus on with the lack of information that they had. Even the New Testament seems like they just kind of wanted to reverse everything in the Old Testament and make it good, like eating animals. In the Old Testament, people, humans, weren't supposed to eat animals. In the New Testament, it was all right, quite all right. So what else? I don't know. I like the stories. I can understand where they're coming from, you know. And what I don't like is how people kind of put their own, I don't know, they put their own stint on it, man. I meet a lot of people that do that in this world. And they cherry pick information from a certain story, a certain thing, and then they kind of make it their own. Buddha did that when it comes to the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is just a book of poems, 81 poems, right, written by Lao Tzu, and people had taken it over the years and made it their own, or rewritten certain verses, changing the words or whatever to try to make it their own, like they're the ones who dreamt it up. So you're always going to have carpetbaggers. And yeah, I'm calling Buddha a carpetbagger. I'm not a Buddhist. I know a lot about Buddha. I don't argue with Buddhists about Buddha because they're already in that world of brainwashedness. They know that I can tell them I can't enlighten them in any way because those people reject it. It's almost like once humans have one particular thing they like to grab onto, they don't let it go. It's like some creepy dog toy. They just kind of have it and keep it with them, no matter how nasty it is, and they won't let it go. But you have to be open-minded in this world, and you have to understand that these stories of antiquity, they're written from a certain perspective. If the Christians have written it, it's written from their perspective. It's the Jews wrote it, it's their perspective. They're going to put their religion on it, they're going to put their stint on it, they're going to make it their own, right, and then give it out there. So you have to read the truth of it inside of there, the real information that's going on inside. So how do you do that? With an open heart and open mind, and look at people today and what they do, because there's not much different in people today that they're screwing each other over and doing all these things. And the same thing for these angels, you know. And they came down to Earth, and Earth was a boring place. There was no internet back then, and they found these women. They're sitting there watching from space. Really? Isn't that funny? They said that, like space, not like watching from heaven, watching from the moon. They're watching from space. And how do you accomplish that? Because these are oxygen breathing creatures. These were creatures that were biologically connected enough to mate with the ones on the earth, humans, right? And what about the dudes? Didn't they get some, man, little Athena action? You know, come hang out. It'd be like I'd be hanging out with Athena. I would be her Pete Davidson. I'd be her funny little clown, you know, always making fun of stuff, always making fun of Poseidon's anger. Err. I would piss him off so bad. I used to say I could piss anybody off in less than 20 seconds, man. Now it's 10. I've actually improved my time. Like an Olympic athlete for heckling, I've improved my time. You know? So, Athena, I'm calling out to you, man. Or even Lilith, Lilith, was Adam's first wife in Eden. And she got kicked out because she wanted equality. Who the hell knows what happened there? Maybe she was an angel, and he was an angel, and they came down together for Eden. And then she wanted equality, he didn't want equality, or they didn't want equality. They didn't want women to be equal, or whatever. She wanted to be on top. That's how the story went. Seriously, that's how it's written. And they kicked her out of Eden. And then God crafted Eve from Adam's rib, right? But Lilith was from of this earth, from the dust and dirt of the earth, man. And then they vilified her, making her the sea hag. In the Bible, they just mentioned her as like a sea hag type, and they were afraid not to include her, but they didn't want to write about her, and that's your average Catholic Christian type or even religious type. They think they're going to get punished, by not writing about something. You know what I mean? So or just like all those books that they found buried out in the desert there in Iraq and all that, in these clay pots that the Catholic Church had buried because they didn't want truth to be known, what was in those books. And then they didn't want to destroy them either because they were afraid if they destroyed them that they would be punished. People always second guessing themselves, man. This is what they've wrought. These are the humans, the people that they've wrought. And from those times, we have these times. We have more democracy. We have more rights. We have more things now that people are certainly passionate about fighting for. Look at all the protests out there, and you're going to see a lot more. These truckers are shutting the roads down all over the place. You're going to see a lot more than that. Monkey see, monkey do. Like I said, right? So it really comes down to the struggle, the daily struggle of survival. Whether you're an angel, whether you're a person, whatever you got going on, it's a struggle, and we can make it easier on each other, and we can learn more. We can evolve. We can go further. We can understand more about ourselves and understand more about the universe as we reach out. But we can't do any of that if we're just fighting and bickering all the time and wasting time, politicizing everything and being a bunch of fools. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. That's the biggest evil that faces mankind, ignorance. So anyway, I'm going to end the show on that note. Hope you guys had a lovely time talking about Poseidon and some fallen angels in Atlantis. I will see you guys next week on this here show. I am Poseidon, and I will send the lakes after you. Rah! I live on a lake, man, so I don't want to say, a deep lake, too. Don't need that guy messing with me, man. Somebody so angry. I think that he needs to get into some kind of Dr. Phil program. He's that angry, you know what I mean? All that seafood, gonna have a burger once in a while. I will see you guys next week on this show. Bye.